62-year-old Sergii Mirnyi will never forget the year 1986, when he was sent to help deal with the nuclear disaster in Chernobyl that was threatening to poison the continent. Mirnyi was a reserve lieutenant in the Soviet Army, a physical chemist, and a chemical task force leader who led a team of so-called liquidators tasked with measuring radiation and evacuating villages near Chernobyl in the months following the accident. Mirnyi went back to working as a physical chemist after the disaster, but what he had witnessed, particularly the evacuations and the upheaval for people affected by the event, stuck with him and became the center of his research years later when he started studying the long-term health of liquidators. In 2008, he founded the company Chernobyl Tours, which takes tourists into the 600 square kilometer Chernobyl Exclusion Zone to educate them about radiation. He also says he hopes that data collected through the initiative could help resolve ongoing debates about how the leaked radiation has influenced the surrounding area, and how it has affected people who have been exposed. He believes, for example, that certain studies of the disaster have led to incorrect conclusions, and that too many health problems have been attributed purely to radiation exposure, he says. Indeed, the number of deaths linked to the Chernobyl disaster has been highly debated over the years, with estimates ranging from less than 100 to many thousands. Greenpeace, on the other hand, has argued that the true toll will be closer to 93,000, a conclusion that has met criticism. It is not only about cancer, cardiovascular diseases and so on. Nearly all diseases, linked to the Chernobyl accident, are attributed purely to radiation. Mirnyi says, "I do believe that the Chernobyl disaster greatly increased the number of cancer cases," he says, but adds that this was likely partly due to the physical and mental consequences of the Chernobyl disaster overall: fear, higher smoking rates, more alcohol and drug use, and not just radiation. The problem, he says, is that some researchers do not consider factors other than radiation when they estimate how many people have died. One needs to be at least aware of different other variables. A Pool of Knowledge. Chernobyl University is a non-profit initiative that is funded by universities using its services and by Chernobyl Tours, where Mirnyi is co-founder and scientific advisor, he explains. Through Chernobyl, we can understand a lot about environmental problems, and ecological problems, caused by radiation and people being displaced, says Mirnyi, adding that Chernobyl also has the potential to teach people about how humans react to catastrophe in general. One of them is the University of New Haven, where Matthew Schmidt, a researcher in U.S. security and foreign policy, has cooperated with Chernobyl University to organize field trips for his students to Ukraine. He tells the scientist that his students benefit from collaborating with Chernobyl University because it enables them to understand how people react differently to crises. Some stayed and did their jobs, cleaning up after the disaster despite the risk to their own health, while others were more focused on getting out quickly. Schmidt says he thinks that the Chernobyl disaster and its aftermath might also provide clues about humanity's chances in space, itself a hostile place filled with radiation, because it shows us how people react under extreme circumstances with an unknown danger. It has a lot to teach us about how we would operate in high radiation environments, says Schmidt, adding that Chernobyl University seems to be creating a repository full of data, which he hopes will make it easier to carry out research on Chernobyl and to obtain funding for future studies. Radiation patrol vehicles near the Chernobyl zone. 1986 Oleg Veklenko Wageningen University in the Netherlands has also cooperated with Mirnyi through Chernobyl Tours for several years when running field trips for students. And that means that you need studies, and you need an understanding related to different scientific disciplines. She adds, I would say that the Chernobyl tour itself also contributes to students' understanding. Thomas has focused in particular on the link between Chernobyl radiation and thyroid cancer among children after the accident in a 2021 study. For example, she and others analyzed tumors from hundreds of Chernobyl survivors. Please support my channel to grow by pressing subscribe button and the bell icon. We will notify you technological news. Thank you.